What's up everybody, GenExDividendInvestor here. In this video I'm going to reveal companies which have been paying out dividends for over 100 consecutive years, and I'm guessing you haven't heard of every one of them. Then I'm going to share a valuable life story I found online that's worth hearing and reflecting on. But before we start, I wanted to share that if you click on my M1 referral link in the description of this video and then open a new non-retirement brokerage account and you transfer some cash into it, then we both get $30 for free in our accounts. I'm not sure what they'll be offering when you watch this video, so read the details. Okay, this meme cracked me up. The first picture is of a girl snuggling up with a cup of coffee and a caption that says, "I wonder if he's thinking about me." And then the second picture is of a smiling guy who's looking at his phone with a caption of, "Wow, my portfolio is beating the market." If you feel like that meme is pretty much what your real life relationship is like, then leave me a comment down below. Okay, I'm going to list these companies in order from least consecutive number of years of paying dividends to most, with a minimum number of 100 years. I'll be using my 2.0 dividend spreadsheet product, which is available to Patreon aristocrats and kings, to show you the data. So there are 15 companies I found that have been paying dividends for 100 or more consecutive years. If you know of one I missed, please tell me in comments below. So number 1 of 15 is Chubb, ticker CB, an insurance company which has been paying dividends for 118 consecutive years, which means all the way back to 1902. Chubb has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, has 27 consecutive years of dividend increases, a 60% payout ratio, a low 2.08% yield, a low 2.86% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 29.6 PE. Number 2 is Church & Dwight, ticker CHD, a consumer staples company with well-known products like Arm & Hammer baking soda, and they've been paying dividends for 119 consecutive years, which means since 1901. Church & Dwight has a consensus analyst rating of a hold, have 25 consecutive years of dividend increases, a 30% payout ratio, a very low 1.11% yield, a nice 8.62% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 27.7 PE. Number 3 is General Electric, ticker GE, which has been paying dividends since 1899, which means for 121 consecutive years, though they did slash their dividend to a penny, so it's hard to call them a dividend stock anymore, though it technically is. GE has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, have no consecutive years of dividend increases, have an 11% payout ratio because of their almost non-existent dividend, a very low 0.38% yield, a negative 65% 3-year dividend CAGR due to cutting, and a 29.8 PE. Now, do you remember when GE had something like $400 billion in debt about 10 years ago? Well, they've been steadily chipping away at it and are now at under $80 billion. Combine that with a new CEO and there's some whispers that GE might be an interesting contrarian play. GE is currently being hit by pandemic issues like weak air travel demand along with other things, but if you have a very long time horizon, then maybe, just maybe, they're worth exploring. Okay, number 4 on the list is PPG Industries, ticker PPG, a materials, coatings, and glass company. They've been paying dividends since 1899, which is 121 years. PPG has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, have 48 consecutive years of dividend increases, which means they're almost a king, have a 45% payout ratio, a low 1.53% yield, a nice 8.27% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 31.7 PE. Okay, number 5 on the list is General Mills, ticker GIS, a food company with brands like Cheerios, Yoplait, Haagen-Dazs, and others you'd recognize. They've been paying dividends since 1898, which is 122 years. General Mills has a consensus analyst rating of a hold, have only 1 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a 50% payout ratio, an okay 3.46% yield, a low 3.26% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a nice 15 PE. Number 6 on the list is one I'm long in, and that's Colgate Palmolive, ticker CL, a company with tons of products you'd recognize like Irish Spring, Colgate toothpaste, and Palmolive soap, amongst others. They've been paying dividends since 1895, which is 125 years. General Mills has a consensus analyst rating of a hold, are a dividend king with their incredible 57 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a 55% payout ratio, a low 2.09% yield, a low 3.33% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 27 PE. Okay, number 7 of 15 is a company I'm also long in, and that's Coca-Cola, ticker KO. Coke has been paying dividends since 1893, which is 127 consecutive years. Coke has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, or a dividend king with their incredible 58 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a high 83% payout ratio, which I'd attribute a bit to the pandemic, have a somewhat low 3.11% yield, an okay 5.57% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 27 PE. Number 8 on the list is another company I'm long in, and that's Procter and Gamble, ticker PG. Procter and Gamble has been paying dividends since 1891, which is 129 years. Procter and Gamble has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, are a dividend king with their redonkulous 64 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a nice 56% payout ratio, a low 2.25% yield, a low 2.91% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 26.6 PE. Okay, number 9 on the list is one I bet most of you haven't heard before, and that's Johnson Controls, ticker JCI, that produces fire, HVAC, and security equipment for buildings. Johnson Controls has been paying dividends since 1887, which is 133 years. JCI has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, unfortunately have 0 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a payout ratio that has spiked due to the pandemic at 123%, have a low 2.09% yield, a low 1.32% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 59 PE. My guess is that companies like JCI that derive material revenue from office buildings are now in more challenging waters due to the pandemic. After the pandemic, I wonder if some companies will try to cut expenses and continue to encourage working from home rather than maintain costly offices. Okay, number 10 of 15 is Eli Lilly, ticker LLY, which has been paying dividends since 1885, which means for 135 years. Eli Lilly has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, have only 7 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a nice 46% payout ratio, have a low 2.07% yield, a nice 8.14% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 26.8 PE. Okay, number 11 on the list is UGI Corporation, ticker UGI, which is another you probably haven't heard of before and is a natural gas and power distribution company, which also is the largest propane marketer in the United States. UGI has been paying dividends since 1885, which means for 135 years. UGI has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, have an excellent 34 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a nice 51% payout ratio, a mediocre 3.64% yield, a 5.49% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a nice 14 PE. Number 12 on the list is Consolidated Edison, ticker ED, which is one of the largest investor-owned energy companies in the United States, operating primarily in New York and New Jersey, and is a company I used to own. It also stands for erectile dysfunction, which I'm tempted to talk about more just so you get funny ads while you're watching this video. Con Ed has been paying dividends since 1885, which means for 135 years. They have a consensus analyst rating of a hold, have an amazing 46 consecutive years of dividend increases, a 75% payout ratio, a nice 4.29% yield, a 3.37% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 17.5 PE. Con Ed is definitely looking juicier and juicier these days. 13th on the list is ExxonMobil, ticker XOM, which is one of the 2 oil companies I'm long in. Exxon has been paying dividends since 1882, which means for 138 years. Exxon has a consensus analyst rating of a hold, have an excellent 38 consecutive years of dividend increases, though they face the real possibility of a cut coming up, have a payout ratio which shows you how much they're hurting due to lower cash flows and such, have a ridiculous 7.74% yield, a 4.8% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a high 57 PE. Exxon and all oil companies have taken it on the chin with the oil war coupled with the pandemic, but are currently rebounding as the environment improves. Okay, number 14 on the list is Stanley Black & Decker, ticker SWK, which has been paying dividends since 1877, which means for 143 years. Black & Decker has a consensus analyst rating of a buy, have an incredible 52 consecutive years of dividend increases, have a great payout ratio of 45%, a low 1.57% yield, a 6.1% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a 28.7 PE. Finally, at 15th on the list is YORW, ticker YORW, which has been paying dividends since 1816, which means for an incredible 204 years. Did you hear me? They've been paying dividends for over 200 consecutive years, as in before the Civil War and even before the iPhone came out. That's amazing. YORW didn't have a consensus analyst rating, but has a great 24 consecutive years of dividend increases, has a nice payout ratio of 57%, a low 1.58% yield, a low 3.76% 3-year dividend CAGR, and a high 38 PE. Who else thinks that water will become the new Bitcoin? Okay, now I'm going to tell you a short but valuable life story I found online that's worth hearing and reflecting on. During the gold rush, a man who had been mining for several months finally quit, as he hadn't struck gold yet and his work was becoming tiresome. He sold all his mining equipment to another miner who resumed mining where he had stopped. The new miner found gold just 3 feet away from where the previous miner had quit. Moral of the story? When things start to get hard, try to persevere through the adversity. Many people give up following their dreams because the work becomes too difficult, tedious, or tiresome. But often you're closer to the finish line than you think, and if you push just a little bit harder, you'll succeed. Maybe you're trying to build a YouTube channel and you're finding it's harder than you imagine and you might want to give up. But don't. Persist through the hard times. That reminds me of a great quote from Bill Bradley who said, "Ambition is the path to success. Persistence is the vehicle you arrive in." Do you know what you really value in life? Things you struggled to achieve. Things you worked at and persisted at. You might be having a hard time right now, but don't give up. If you keep pushing, you'll make it. Remember what Winston Churchill said, if you're going through hell, keep going. Okay, moving on. Now I'm going to show you the funniest thing that someone ordered by clicking on my Amazon affiliate link and then went shopping online. As an Amazon associate, I earned from qualifying purchases. So who knew that there were such things as padded toilet seats? You win, good sir or madam, you win. If that was you that bought it, then leave me a comment down below so that I can thank you for both using my link and for telling me about hilarious items that help your hiney be happy. Okay, now I'd like to shout out 12 of my newest Patreon aristocrats who have signed up since my last video. So thank you to JFine68, thank you M. Zimpfer, thank you Clawlore, thank you Silent Bob, thank you RJW1988, thank you Kenny T, thank you Mike Group ISO, thank you Tadfad, thank you Nicola M, thank you Maxwell, thank you Vive de Investimentos, who has a Portuguese Instagram investing page I'll include a link to in the description below. And finally, thank you to Eldel for upgrading from a champion to an aristocrat. As an aristocrat, they gain access to my new Dividend Spreadsheet 2.0 product and to multiple private channels on my Discord, including one where I let people watch my videos before I release them to the public, as well as vote on some thumbnails I use in my videos, as well as get direct access to me. Speaking of my Patreons, I want to mention one of my aristocrats named Clayton who runs his own YouTube channel called Finance Daily. Clayton just published a new book you can get on Amazon called Getting the Edge. I've not read it yet, but I'll read you a blurb about it. It says, when it comes to what people want and not necessarily what people need, people will go to extremes to get what they want. So why not you? Download or purchase Getting the Edge for $0 on Kindle Unlimited. Become the professional you see in Forbes. Go above and beyond in your career with these easy strategies. Anyways, no, I'm not being paid or sponsored for that. I just thought it was neat that he was hustling, so I'll put his Amazon book link and his YouTube channel link in the description below. Finally, I'd like to thank you, the viewer, for watching all the way to the end. I really appreciate it. Please consider hitting the thumbs up button, subscribing if you haven't yet, and click that bell notification. Finally, I highly recommend that you join my free Dividend Discord chat server, which has thousands of dividend investors on it and is growing all the time. Thanks, don't forget about that free $30 on M1, and I'll talk to you again real soon. I am not a financial advisor, and these videos are for entertainment, inspiration, and educational purposes only. Investing of any kind involves risk. I am only sharing my opinion with no guarantee of gains or losses on investments.